How's it going, YouTube? Oxy here, and welcome back. So today I got a interesting little topic to talk about. So we all remember that big acquisition Xbox and Microsoft were in the middle of doing, right? The Activision-Blizzard for the record-breaking $68.7 billion would make it the largest video game acquisition of all time. The previous one was by Tencent, a Chinese conglomerate company, right, in like the mobile game space. I believe they bought like Gameloft and some other for like 8 point something billion. And then Microsoft had up to that point the second highest with the Bethesda acquisition for, it was like 7.5 or 7 something billion. Obviously this one knocks all of those out of the water, and right now they're in the process of acquiring it. Of course, it's a long legal, and they're having some troubles overseas, like in the UK. The FTC, Federal Trade Commission here, is also giving them, like roadblocks, because essentially there's a concern of monopoly, right, and then buying such a big studio. But I mean, if Disney could buy Fox for the same price, 70 billion. I know it's movies, but you get the idea. They bought a whole production company. If they could buy Fox and get away with it, Microsoft's good. I think so. But anyways, the reason I'm here is because, interesting enough, again, they don't own them yet, so legally that's not there yet. It was supposed to end summer of this year. We'll see. Again, the legal stuff is going on, but the president of Microsoft, so Xbox's parent company, Brad Smith, right, one of the top guys there, put out a tweet or like a message recently that Xbox and Nintendo are officially partnering for it's legally binding, a 10-year contract, a decade, where Call of Duty, again, one of Activision, arguably the reason why anyone would go after Activision-Blizzard. Call of Duty, regardless of your opinion of it, I'm not a big fan. I think many of you are not. It's still undeniably probably the biggest franchise in gaming right now. It always is a top seller every year it comes out. Call of Duty will be on Nintendo platforms again. Since the Wii U was the last time we had Call of Duty on a Nintendo platform. Of course, the Switch doesn't have any. But for 10 years, Nintendo will get Call of Duty games day one, like same day as Microsoft, Xbox, essentially. And so interesting enough, that's a cool little, right, that you could say that's enough there of like, oh, okay, Nintendo, right, the kid-friendly, they're kind of Disney-like, right, where they like to keep their things, like, very safe and friendly. Like, going back to Call of Duty, interesting. Now, in this post, too, it also does mention PlayStation, because that's one of the biggest things PlayStation is fighting against this Activision-Blizzard deal, is like Microsoft solely being like the owner of like a Call of Duty, potentially or eventually. The idea is that they would go away from PlayStation, forcing like, if you want Call of Duty, you have to get it on Xbox. So Microsoft has gone and said that like, we're not going to do that for now. But they say like any legal contracts, I think they've even said for like the next 10 years, like they guarantee that like Call of Duty will still release simultaneously across all platforms. But PlayStation's been fighting it really hard, like trying to essentially get this acquisition blocked. But I don't know, personally it's kind of hypocritical, because Sure, Sony can't do it on that large of a scale. Of course, Microsoft's got that Bill Gates money, so they can do what they want, essentially buy who they want. Um, yeah, it's like, so Sony can't do it on that scale, but I mean, all through the previous generation, the PS4, Xbox One, how many games were like, oh, timed exclusive? Some of them from series that are like, that were multi-platform, because that's the biggest argument. Like, oh, Call of Duty was multi-platform, and for it to go exclusive is like, wrong or like bad. Where it's like, I mean, it's the name of the game. Sony's done that. Look at Final Fantasy. Yes, it started on Nintendo, but then it heavily has favored PlayStation, right? And yeah, there will be simultaneous releases like 13, no, most recently 15, but 16, big game, not on Xbox, PlayStation exclusive. And as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, not timed either, full on exclusive. So for them who were very aggressive of this whole making content exclusive, Destiny, right? Or, oh, they've bought Bungie, yeah. That was like when Microsoft bought Bethesda, they bought Bungie. Like they've been making acquisitions too, so it's like you can't argue that. Like, what, you're mad that they got more money than you? It's like, sorry, buddy, it's the name of the game. But yeah, the reason I bring up the Nintendo thing is because, so for one, hey, cool, you can play Call of Duty on the Switch, but it does have a lot of people wondering. So, Sony started, but then of course Microsoft followed suit with this new $70 standard, right, for AAA games, which were 60 for the longest time. We're bumping them up to 70. And the argument was like, oh, for next gen, where previous, so like will still be 60, usually. And yeah, current gen now, PS5, Xbox Series are 70. And the idea is, with this deal that Microsoft is specifically cutting with Nintendo, which does make you wonder if Microsoft gets the acquisition through, is Sony gonna get delayed releases of Call of Duty? Because the way it was worded seemed very like, you have to imagine, if you're Microsoft, you're gonna put content first on Xbox, right? Like, similar to like how Call of Duty's always been, where now if it's Sony, right, like they get DLC or stuff like a month early or months early. That's probably, Xbox is most likely gonna do that day one Game Pass. So there's that price disparity where, like, if I get it on Sony or Nintendo, I have to pay 70. I get it at Xbox Game Pass, $15 a month. Right? It's like there's that price difference. But the main issue is that Nintendo, so Switch is very underpowered, right? Technically, it's a 9th gen console because Nintendo's ahead of all the other, of Microsoft and Sony. So, yeah, it came out during the Xbox One, PS4 era. It was weaker than them. So porting games is like not the easiest. And now the idea that it'll have day one releases of Call of Duty with Xbox, and it's like, when they're probably going to start favoring the Series X now, it's like, how does that scalability work? Like, the Switch is a really old system. And then the fact that, like, how could they charge 70? Like, Sony and Microsoft get the pass of like, oh, it's next gen, so it looks better. Nintendo doesn't, right? The Switch is very underpowered, like, to standards now. So it's like, are they really going to charge 70? Which seems to be the case. Just, I mean, look at Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, right? The newest one, Breath of the Wild sequel. Originally, they were taking pre-orders at 60, took it down, and now you can pre-order it from Nintendo at 70. And again, nothing, the console's the same, nothing has improved, right? So it's like, wow, they're really like, yeah, that's the worry, is like, is it going to be a $70 price tag? But what I think, and many are speculating, is that by now, they're probably going to release a new console. Now, will it be like a Switch Pro that we keep hearing about, even though rumors has it that was scrapped, which is more like up to date, or at least at the level of PS4 and Xbox One, because then the scalability is much easier? Or are we full on getting the next Nintendo console, right? Like, just like any other release, from the GameCube to the Wii, the Nintendo 64 GameCube, right? Are we getting the next one, which would ideally be a lot more powerful? That way, the day in releases, same day, works for Nintendo. We'll see. Some people pointed out that for the Wii U's release, because that had like Black Ops 2, it came out around the time of that's release, like to coincide with it. So maybe not this year, because I do believe they're skipping this year. They're taking like a 1 year break. But next year, whatever the next Call of Duty is, what if that's when the new, whether it's a upgraded Switch, a Switch 2, right, like the next console, whatever it is, to coincide with the release. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Especially with the news of this contract coming out of Microsoft and Nintendo. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Do you think it's fair for Nintendo? Because that's the thing. We don't know yet. We don't know if these will come out on the regular Switch now. Do you think it's fair for them to charge $70 on the Switch? Or, I guess at all. Should we get a new Nintendo console to facilitate that? But yeah, I don't know. How do you feel? Yeah, we'll see what happens with Sony. Because again, this is between Nintendo and Microsoft. Meaning like day one, they're going to get the same thing. So that really makes me think, yes, PlayStation, you'll still get it. But it won't be as feature rich, or just like now, it'll be like a month or months later, you guys will get like whatever DLC or that. Hey, I don't really play Call of Duty, so it doesn't affect me that much. If my friends get it, I do. That's and like I only really care about zombies, specifically Treyarch. So yeah, it doesn't really affect me. But cool to see Nintendo and Microsoft sharing that love. You look back at like Smash Bros. Of course, Microsoft bought Rare from them. Their stakes in Rare, and like with like Banjo and Steve, because Microsoft owns Mojang, creators of Minecraft, that like they got into Smash, so they have a working relationship, and I think long term, Nintendo is playing it smart to kind of like buddy up with Microsoft, because yeah, again, when it comes to this like buying acquisitions, they got that Bill Gates money, so yeah, you want to probably warm up to them and be like, hey, friend, remember me? And Sony, just in general, buckle up, because all those Xbox has no games, like Phil Spencer took it to heart, so we'll see. Hey, admittedly, they are taking a while, and we do need to see them get that solid like track record of like hit after hit, so we'll see. But yeah, guys, what do you think? That's the news. If you like this type of content, I'm going to make new videos every Tuesday and Saturday. So please be sure to hit the, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good jazz. And as always, everyone, I've been your host, Oxy. Take care, and I'll see you next time.